We live in a crazy world, man. Seriously, things are getting weirder by the day. And one of the craziest things going on right now is this whole situation with China. You got their economy going through the roof, their military flexing all over the place, and let's not forget about the whole South China Sea thing. It's like they're playing a game of risk out there, and the stakes are getting higher every day. Now, I'm not saying we're on the verge of World War III or anything, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because this isn't just some abstract geopolitical chess match. It has real-world consequences. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to dive deep into the potential threats we face from this rising superpower, from supply chain disruptions to cyber attacks and everything in between. We'll break it down in a way that even Jamie can understand. And more importantly, we'll talk about what you can actually do to prepare for whatever comes next. Stick around because in the next few minutes, we'll break down the key risks and, more importantly, how you can prepare. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the supply chain. We've all seen what happens when things go sideways. Remember the great toilet paper crisis of 2020? People were freaking out, man, brawling in the aisles over the last pack of Charmin. And that was just a taste of what could happen. Here's the thing, China is like the world's factory. They make everything, and I mean everything. From the clothes on your back to the microchips in your phone, chances are it came from China. Think about it, if relations with China go south, those supply lines could get cut off faster than you can say trade war. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and buy a bunker and a year's supply of freeze-dried food. But it's not a bad idea to start thinking about your essential needs and how you might be able to source them locally if the global supply chain goes kaput. Because when it comes to prepping, knowledge is power, man. Alright, so we talked about the economic side of things, but let's be real. The big kahuna in the room is the potential for military conflict. And when it comes to China, there are two big flashpoints, the South China Sea and Taiwan. The South China Sea is like the geopolitical equivalent of a powder keg. Man, you've got all these countries with overlapping claims, and then you've got China building artificial islands and military bases like they're playing Sim City. It's a recipe for disaster. And then there's Taiwan, which China claims as its own territory. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole history of the situation, but suffice it to say, it's a very delicate situation. And if things were to escalate there, it would have massive implications for the entire world. We're talking about a potential naval blockade, disruptions to global trade, and maybe even a full-blown war. And let's not forget about the potential for cyber attacks. Imagine waking up one morning and the internet's down, the power's out, and you can't get in touch with anyone. But it's not a bad idea to have a plan. Let's be honest, folks. The world's gone digital. We're more connected than ever before, and that's not always a good thing. Especially when you're talking about a country like China, which has invested heavily in its cyber capabilities. We're not just talking about some kids in a basement trying to hack your Facebook account. This is next level stuff. State-sponsored hackers, sophisticated malware, the whole 9 yards. They're not only targeting governments and corporations, they're coming after individuals like you and me. Think about all the personal information we store online. Our bank accounts, our medical records, our social security numbers. It's a goldmine for hackers, and China knows it. They could use that information to steal our identities, drain our bank accounts, or even blackmail us. So, what can you do to protect yourself? Be aware of the threat. Don't click on links from unknown senders. Be careful what information you share online, and use strong passwords for all your accounts. And if you're really serious about cybersecurity, you might want to invest in some anti-malware software and a hardware firewall. So, we've talked about the risks, but what can you actually do to prepare for these potential threats? Well, the good news is there are a lot of things you can do, even if you're not a hardcore prepper. First and foremost, you need to get your mind right. This isn't about living in fear or becoming a paranoid shut-in. It's about taking responsibility for your own safety and security and being prepared for whatever life throws your way. Next, you need to start thinking about your essential needs. What would you need to survive if the power went out for a week? What if the grocery stores were empty? What if you had to evacuate your home? Once you have a good understanding of your needs, you can start stockpiling supplies. This doesn't mean you need to go out and buy a year's worth of food and water all at once. Start small and gradually build up your supplies over time. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you need to build a community. Connect with like-minded people in your area. Share information and resources and learn from each other. Look, I get it. Thinking about all this stuff can be overwhelming. It's like, where do you even begin? But the important thing is that you start somewhere. Even small steps can make a big difference in the long run. Start by educating yourself about the potential threats we face. Read books, watch documentaries, and listen to podcasts. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be. Next, start taking action. Build up your supplies, learn new skills, and connect with other preppers in your area. And remember, prepping isn't just about surviving a disaster. It's about living a more resilient and self-sufficient life. Because at the end of the day, it's not about being afraid, it's about being prepared. That's all the time we have for today, folks. We covered a lot of ground, but the conversation doesn't end here. Remember, preparing for uncertainty isn't about living in fear. It's about taking control of your life, your safety, and your future. Now go out there, stay informed, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay frosty. Until next time, stay safe and stay prepared.